Hi, Pam. Hi, Sloan. And I see, hi, Sophie. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to Empower Hour. Thank you for being here. And as we are letting more people in, more people are joining, I just wanted to do some quick introductions. My name is Ramona Harvey. I am the coaching manager here at WIA Women's Impact Alliance. We also have Janet Watson, and I will give her a bigger introduction, but for now, just wanting to introduce Janet. We also have Mina Ayazi, and Mina is our marketing and social media and fundraising manager. And we are so excited to see you all. Thank you for joining us this morning or this afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us. And with that, I would just love to have you share where are you located in the world and how are you feeling at this moment? What is the feeling, the energy, the emotion that you are feeling right now? Please share. I will share myself. So I am based in Santa Barbara, California, and I am feeling my signature emotion is excited, and I'm definitely feeling that this morning, being here with you all. We have Mubina from Pakistan. Um, let's see, we have Jenna from Napa feeling open. Janet feeling excited. London bringing calm. Yes, thank you, Sophie. Mary Ellen, Minneapolis. Feeling smoky. Oh no, I hope you're safe. We might get smoky too here in California. Mina feeling energized. Heather, New York City feeling regulated. I like that. And ready.
I love
Uh,
that.
yeah, Pam, Los Angeles, down the coast from me, feeling joyful. Thank you for being here. Drive safe. Sloan, Magic Green, and they never say that hello is Magic Garden, sorry. Smoky there too. All right. Hello from Washington State. Under caffeinated, but please, Hannah, get caffeine. Jennifer from Michigan, smoky. Wow, you guys, it's pretty smoky out there. Okay. Um, let's all stay safe. So Amma, joining us from London, sunny and hot. Yeah, I know record heat in London. So thank you everyone for being here. Hello. So I would just love by welcoming you. I want to let you know that we are recording this session for those who have not been able to, who are not able to join us live. And I just want to share a little bit about WIA, who we are and what we do, and what Empower Hour is about. So, WIA Women's Impact Alliance is a global community of women leaders in social and environmental change. Our work is in leadership development and executive coaching. And the women who go through our program work across nearly, I think, 95 countries. Is we are really have a global presence, and we also have over 250 coaches at WIA, and Janet is a volunteer coach, as am I. And we just have this incredible community of women helping women. And we really believe, and I actually want to share my slide to share our mission that when women lead, um, the world gets better. Uh, Forgive me, I am going to just share a couple of slides with you. My caffeine is kicking in, so thank you for your patience. So yeah, this is who we are, and I also wanted to share a little bit about Empower Hour. Yeah, this is our beautiful mission that we are just We've been around for a few years since 2014 and really empowering women around the world. This is our mission that we believe in strongly. And just before we get started and introducing Janet and kicking off this incredible session she has for us, I just wanted to share a few QR codes with you and just a little bit about what Empower Leader program is. Empower Leader program is our signature program where women go through leadership coaching. Again, coached by our volunteer coaches. They go through something called Leader Labs, which are leadership development series over a course of 9 months. And they're also part of what we call ally pods. And these are sort of small mastermind groups where women are supporting each other along this 9 month journey. If you're interested to learn more about the Empower Leader program, you have the QR code there to the left. And then please stay connected with us if you're not already. You can subscribe to our monthly newsletter. And if you'd like to support our work, either as a coach, as a partner, as a donor, you can contact us at that email address. And I will stop sharing. And I just want to real quick share about what Empower Hour is, which is what we are gathering for today. This is our biggest and most well attended event. And this event brings together the entire WA community all in one room right here, right now. And this includes usually our coaches, our catalysts, and any other donors and volunteers and sponsors who are part of our community. Thank you so much for being here. And with that, I would love to introduce Janet Watson. She has been a WA volunteer coach for, I think you said 10 years now. Is that right?
Well, almost 10 years. It's 10 catalysts that I've worked with thus far.
Oh, okay, okay, excellent. So, just real quick, introducing Janet, and just I'm so excited to have you, Janet, here sharing your wisdom. Just truly have been looking forward to this session. So, Janet Watson is an ICF certified executive coach and communications strategist with a global track record of empowering leaders at organizations like Apple, Google, American Express, Toyota, and the Federal Reserve Bank. Grounded in degrees in psychology and communications and fueled by decades as a competitive athlete, Janet brings performance mindset, strategic messaging, and authentic leadership together in a coaching style that is as energizing as it is transformative. She's a proud consultant and coach to WIAs, SPCA, and She Can. Thank you so much, Janet, for being here. And with that, I want to pass it to you.
That is lovely. Thank you so much, Ramona. And I'd love to share my screen. Am I a co-host?
I believe you are. Let's try it out.
I'm going to try it out. Wonderful. Okay. Well, first of all, I am thrilled to be here, and kudos to all of you for making it here, setting some time to be here for a very quick, informative session. And first off, if I could just see a show of hands for you being aware of EQ. Maybe you've heard about it, maybe you practice it daily, but just a quick show of hands on if this is something that you're aware of. Yeah, wonderful. So the session today may be brand new information or it may be a refresh. And either way, it's wonderful because you always learn something, right? And my goal is after you see the information and learn that you walk away with at least one, maybe two insights that you can use today, this week, this month, that really will provide impact and lasting impact. And we're not going to do any breakouts today. I know that really might bum some people out, but we just don't have time. So I'm asking that you participate fully in the chat. And that's it, is that I'll ask some questions, and if you'll just respond in the chat, that would be wonderful. What emotion does this bring up? And you can put that in chat. I'm going to bring up my chat over here so I can actually see it. Yeah, curiosity, fun, chaos, complexity, confusion, all the above. Yeah, overwhelm, chaos, and confusion. I brought this up so that you can see the swirls coming and going. For me, this is pretty much a typical day. And sometimes I was thinking about it later. I was like, this is kind of how I'm viewing my mind. Swirls come in and out, distractions come in, people contact you. Oh, then you have another meeting. And it's constantly morphing and changing. And oh, there's another bright color off to the side. And so thinking about this, I know you've already got really, really busy days. So I'm looking at this as sort of a palate cleanser where you come and you go, okay, I'm going to bring my focus in for our short time, probably about 35 to 40 minutes today, so that I can just really be present, get grounded, and learn, be curious. So in the chat, again, this is where I'm going to learn the most about you, is if you think your emotions are part of your wisdom, just put that in the chat. Sometimes, not at all. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Ah, wisdom can inform our emotions. Sometimes. Ah, not the emotions, but our reactions to them. This is a really interesting question. That's why I wanted to get your take on it and to again learn where you stand because we're all so different and we all have these wonderful different perspectives on emotions. And that's exactly what we're talking about today is that EQ, the emotional quotient, emotional intelligence, however you want to refer to it, but I'm going to call it EQ because it's the simplest to say and to do. So back in about 1990, two psychologists, Salovey and Mayer, came up with social intelligence. And then in 1995, with the release of Daniel Goleman's book on emotional intelligence called Just That, it really gained more traction. And over about the next 5 to 10 years, it gained in popularity and acceptance. Because back in the 80s and the 90s, and I'm dating myself here, the corporate structure was truly from the top down, and it's my way or the highway. And that didn't always work. And it was very much controlled. And so with the onset of EQ weaving in, it was like, this is new and exciting. This is really different. How do we look at people's emotional quotient? How they land with their emotions? How do they manage themselves and their relationships effectively? And that's what really EQ is. And so a lot of time and effort was put into this. And there's a couple statistics that I'd love to share with you. The first being from Briese and Associates, which is that 90% of high performers have high EQ. That's amazing. And 2 years ago, it was 80% because I was doing research on this same topic then. It has changed in 2 years to 90% in that correlation. And the second statistic is really interesting as well, which is from Career Builder that 71% of employers value EQ over IQ. Okay, yes, IQ still has to be there at some level. And what do you bring? Can you do something? What do you bring to the table? Yes, I see it on your resume. But EQ is now valued equally or definitely more according to Career Builder. So pretty interesting statistics when you think about how we're showing up in the world. And how we show up and how much that matters. I was on a webinar the other day with Daniel Goleman, and he talked about emotions as wisdom. That's why I wanted to get your take on it. I wanted to hear from you all. And I don't know about you, but I use it as a data point. If my gut is telling me something, there is a reason why. So why am I having that emotion? I use it as a source of intelligence. We talked about that from the chat. It can inform your wisdom, but it deepens your leadership. And how you incorporate and listen to those feelings, those emotions, is of course tantamount to what kind of success you plan on having. In listening to him, I also wrote down his exact words, Goleman's words. They are going to be the leaders of the future, the people that really do have high EQ and utilize it, understand it first, and then utilize it to their best advantage. So today I've really taken highlights from Goleman's work, and we'll look at those and then added on some of my own information from being out in the real world and working with people on EQ. And then we'll have some time for questions, and then pretty much wrap it up. And Ramona will jump back in and fill us in on some more good things from WIA. Yet the whole premise behind EQ is that human connection. What is resonant? And because we're living in this hugely technological world now, we're all looking for that human connection. And of course, feelings are a big driver of that, emotions. So before we go any further, I'd love if you have access to paper. And if you don't, maybe you just take some notes on the screen. But if you do have access to paper, I'd love for you to draw a box. I just did it with 4 quadrants. I'll give you a minute. Because we're going to be talking about Goleman's 4 quadrants, and it might be a really nice way to take a few notes there. And so it's a reference point for you. And if not, maybe just keep something open on your screen so you can take notes, because we will be going back to this for a little bit. The first quadrant, and I put it up on the upper left-hand corner, quadrant number 1, self-awareness. And you may think, oh yeah, I'm totally self-aware. Yet if you break it down, are you accurately assessing that? Are you thinking about your emotions? And are you aware of your emotions and what a driver they are for you? So that emotional awareness is key. Accurate self-assessment, which I just said. Am I honestly thinking about where I land in the emotional landscape, or am I sugarcoating it? So accurate is a key word here. We can all make it super, super wonderful, or maybe we go south and go, yeah, not feeling good today, and being super negative. Go back to being accurate and honest on your self-assessment. And then self-confidence, your self-worth. And moving into the reflection questions, some of you are coaches on this call, and actually, I know a lot of you are coaches on this call, which is great to see. We always ask how and what questions, right? To help our clients really find what they already know that's inside them. So these are reflection questions I put here on the side for you to ask yourself, or possibly you're doing this with a client or a team and you do it with them. How do I check in with my emotions? And this isn't just a question, a reflection question to sort of just throw out there. I highly recommend writing down the answer or saying the answer out loud, because just throwing the question out there doesn't do anything. But if I take the time to answer that, how do I check in with my emotions? Well, I sit for a while, I think about it. Did something in my gut really trigger a response, and why? How do I honestly assess my performance? Well, I look at reviews, I talk to people, I ask for feedback. Be honest with yourself. And again, the whole process of either writing it down, you learn it better, or hearing yourself speak out loud, it comes out and it goes right back in and it lands. Highly recommend the reflection questions, but taking time with them, not just going, oh yeah, did it, did it, did it. Really take some time with this. And coaches with clients, this is a lovely way to learn more about them so you can help guide them. So the second quadrant I always put to the upper right, which is self-management. So we've looked at self-awareness of your emotions. Now, what do you do with those? How do you manage those emotions? So emotional self-control, not letting our emotions hijack where we are or overpower us with overwhelm. How do we keep things in check? Then being adaptive and taking initiative. Even when the circumstances change, situations change, just like that palette cleanser I showed you, things are changing and moving all the time, not only in our days, but in our brains. So how do I keep to high standards? How do I work with all those changes and still keep my emotions regulated? And agility and optimism. How do I deal with setbacks? How long does it take me to recover? And what's the appropriate optimism in my role? Reflective questions. That number one is really important. We're all under different pressures during different parts of our day, our week, our month. But how do I manage my emotions under pressure and answer that? Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't do so well in that category. Maybe that's an area of focus I could put some time into. What about challenging and uncertain situations? What happens to my emotions then? Do they run away? Do they hide? Do they come to the forefront? What do I do with that? How do I regulate those emotions? And then that optimism piece. What's the appropriate optimism for this role? How do I maintain a level of hope and positive outlook? So number three, I put in the bottom left-hand corner, the empathy. Not really me-pathy, but empathy. How do I look at other people's perspectives through their lens, not necessarily mine? How do I understand their emotions, their perspectives, their opinions without trying to change them into my world? Organizational awareness. And for those of you that work in a big company, or maybe it's even a small nonprofit, you still have to be acutely aware of what's going on within the organization. What are the group politics or the social dynamic with the people? And being aware of that falls right under that social awareness piece. And service orientation. Am I in service to my clients, my customers? And this can go even further, right? It can be personal because EQ, it doesn't just stop with your professional lives. It also carries over into your personal life. So am I in service to my family? Am I showing up being the best person I can be? What am I doing here? How am I coming to the table with great ideas, with a service mindset? How do I show up and in service to others? So there's some great reflection questions here too. How do I sense other people's feelings? There's all sorts of ways. Being observant, taking note on body language. This sends a completely different cue to you than this. So even when you're in Zoom rooms, you can be socially aware of the dynamic in the room. It's of course much better if we're in person, but we're not doing as much of that anymore. Yet at the same time, you can pick up nonverbal cues in Zooms. How do I read the room? This is key. People that read the room really know how to shift and adapt whatever the message is they want to get across. They figure out what is going to resonate with that particular audience, and then they use it. Social awareness is key. And I'm going to move on to the fourth quadrant, which is relationship management. So now we're in the bottom right quadrant. Some people don't like the term management. They prefer a term regulation, which either one is fine. You're doing a little bit of both. You're either managing your relationships or you're regulating what happens. So you use what works best for you. But your relationships, of course, are also extremely important to how you go through your world, how you have lasting impact, not only at work, but in your personal life as well. Your influence and inspiration. Are you persuasive? What's your performance like? How does it affect others? Conflict management. I know none of you have conflict management problems, right? We never have conflict. It happens like every day, in and out of the day. That's why I just go back to the palate cleanser. Things are swirling around all the time that we have to manage. So, how do you deal with conflict management and still be productive? Still have constructive conversations and be productive so that you don't end a relationship. And teamwork and collaboration. I think this is very, very important one because we're talking about building bonds of trust. And as you well know, nothing happens without trust, without trusting yourself first and then others. So that particular one on that building trust and fostering that shared success. How do you share things with others and not just be the me-pathy person, but looking at other people's perspectives? But that, how intentionally am I building trust? Huge on moving forward. So how do I not just inspire leadership with others, but how do I lead myself? And then boundaries, personal and professional again. How do I show up within and across teams? Do I manage it seamlessly? Do I get other people's input? So the quadrants from Goleman are extremely important and they start there. So here they are, the four of them together. And you've got this little tiny snippet of what each one is right now. But just think about it. And probably for maybe let's do 17 seconds. Take the time to think about each one. And then I'd love for you to put in chat the number where you would like to put more focus and energy, the number of the quadrant. Yeah, I'm seeing all sorts of different numbers, which is great. The variance is huge because we're all so extremely different. And the beauty of this is you can switch. Maybe this month I really need to focus on self-awareness. But maybe in 6 months, that will be over. And oh, you know what? I'm going to put some emphasis on relationship management. How do I manage and really guide and build bonds of trust? So, yeah, you can work on a couple. I see 2 and 4. Wonderful. If you know that about yourself and going back to that honest and accurate assessment, only you can do that, then you know exactly where you need the work. You know where you need to put the emphasis. So, going from the EQ skills to leadership behavior, EQ brings in focus, intentionality, a calmness because you are self-aware, and then also that level of effectiveness. And so, what you do with the EQ is up to you, of course, and whether you bring it into your coaching practice It's truly a gift when you can talk about EQ from the perspective of a coach and look at your clients and say, maybe we could talk little bit more about that social awareness piece, and then help guide them in that particular direction. So Goleman's second part here is his leadership styles. And there's been lots of information and lots of changes with names, and a lot of people come in and they call it different things in the pie. I'm going to stick with Goleman's right here, which is very straightforward. So you can see there are different styles of leadership, right? So look at this. I don't need to say them out loud. You can read and think about this for probably 10 seconds and put in the chat the one that pops up as your comfort style, your go-to style. You end up there a lot. Put the word in chat, please. And again, I just love the differences that we all bring to the table. That's what makes this such a wonderful melting pot of ideas and perspectives and how we go through the world. We're all so different. Some people have put in two. Wonderful. But you can see just from looking at this, oh yeah, that's where I land all the time. And every time I look at this, I know exactly where I land and I want to try them all on. And it's practice, right? It's practice being able to go, oh, here's my comfort zone. This is where I land. But what about that one? Oh, maybe I should really practice that one. Yeah, and sometimes it's a mix. Sometimes you're really comfortable in a mix. So my next question is put in the chat the one that you don't go to, the one that makes you uncomfortable, the one that you would never dabble in. And let's see where that takes us. Yeah, coercive. A lot of coercives. Yeah. That's a one that's used, and I'll bet you've experienced all of these styles, whether you've had them from a leader or whether you have actually used the styles and not known it because you haven't been definitive of this is the style. You all have the capability of using all of them. It's already inside you. Whether you want to or not is a different thing. But knowing the quadrant and pulling from the quadrant on a social awareness key point, it guides you into what is going to resonate most with a particular audience. With this audience, I think I might have to use authoritative. Or maybe I start with one and move to another. This is a great pie chart. I love to think about food when I'm coaching. That this is a lovely pie chart to kind of dabble in here so that you can say, okay, I am going to try coaching today. I've never done that, but I'm going to try the coaching leadership style. Or maybe affiliative. Maybe I just look at all the people first and I put them first, and then maybe I move to authoritative for the final point. So that you can morph and change given the situation. And that's the beauty of EQ in and of itself. It's all about assessing the situation and being adaptable and flexible. Oops. So is there a right style? I don't know. I don't know. It depends on the situation. Knowing that audience, what is going to resonate and what two styles might work best in tandem. And then I do some work in design thinking and over to the right, reframing the situation. These are the questions that are asked. What if? What if? What if this happens? What if I start with one and bring in two or three more, dependent on what the answers are in our conversation? Or how might we start out being really democratic and then end with a coercive, this needs to happen by Friday at noon? So there's all sorts of ways to use that pie. This is a really nice place to pause and think about what's gone on because that EQ piece really lives between the feeling that I have and the action I take, right? So I let the feeling land, pause, observe, think, take action. You get to choose your response. I have to move some people around here. And also, when you observe what's happening in yourself first, it gives you direction on how to work with others, right? That's the premise of EQ, that giant umbrella of professional and personal use of EQ. How do I best use my emotions for myself and my relationships? That's kind of it in a nutshell. So now you have this little bit of knowledge. I mean, really, I'm taking the high level view of Goleman's and condensing it and the use of EQ. And what do you do with it now that you have a little bit of knowledge, or maybe you have a lot? I think of it in visuals that really helps me keep things in track, which is I look at it as a formula, self and others over awareness and management. So if I have to think very fast and have to think of the quadrant and go and fly freely between those quadrants, I can, because it's basically four elements: self and others, awareness and management. How do you understand people? But look over here, what does it unlock? An enormous amount of things that then have that lasting impact on how you show up and how you support others. The navigate, the manage, the drive, the strengthen, all really important words that EQ then provides you and whoever is in your social realm. EQ is really being smarter with emotions, using those emotions. So a lot of times we're told to look at what your head is saying, think about that, then go to your heart. And everybody skips the gut I mentioned before of that's where we feel everything first, usually is the gut. It's like, ooh, wow, my gut is telling me something's off, or ooh, that's bringing me joy. Yeah, that's great. But your gut is a source of information. Those feelings are giving you the data points that you need to make decisions, giving you a lot of information in a very short time. What questions do you have? And hopefully I can answer them. I'm just seeing this. I use coercive with my kids, no problem. I love that. I think that's probably where coercive is the best use of that piece of pie with family. But do you have any questions for me on that cognitive flex piece, meaning thinking and being flexible at the same time, using your emotions as a guide? And how you sit with those emotions on a daily basis, of course, is extremely important. And if you even chance to acknowledge them. I have one friend who may be on this call, I'm not sure, who says, Janet, you just keep sweeping those emotions under the rug. Just pick up that rug and just sweep them under there. Because they're safer there, right? I don't have to be aware of them if they're under the rug. I can just put the rug back down and just keep going. Well, that doesn't always serve me. And I've learned to adapt and be, of course, more self-aware on how I land with all those emotions, and then what do I do with them? How do I adapt and choose behavior and be emotionally aware?
I see Pam has a question. Raise
Okay.
raise your hand.
Thank you. Um, when it comes to, I think it was like the self-awareness and like checking your emotions, I know for me, I need time to process them. And so there's like the initial emotion that usually you probably should not act on. And especially when it comes to management and leadership, I just know for myself, I like need more integration with what happens with like whatever interaction, like a meeting or decision. So how, I don't know if you have any tools or tips on how to handle that in that state of needing more space and time to then move forward with a decision, especially when you're amongst your peers.
Pam, you bring up probably one of the most delicate topics ever is that reaction component. You want to react right away because this emotion is coming up and I need to say this and get this out, right? So that pause and respond, the only thing I can recommend, especially when it's in uh, like you just said, like in a meeting and you haven't had time to process that, is taking a breath in between, which seems like forever, or even physically moving to the side a little bit if you're standing or even if you're sitting. It's a shift, a small one, but it gives you a moment to think. And then there's also, and this is on the spot I'm addressing, there's also the, you know what? Let me think about that for just a moment and I'll get back to you. Or let me think about that and I'll give you my answer at the end of our call. There's ways to sit with it in the moment, yet if you need it for longer to process, which I think a lot of us on the call do, it's something that you've got to work with as far as setting the tone for I'll get back to you. I need some time to think about that and respond appropriately. Does that help, Pam?
Yeah, that helps a lot. And like, I mean, for my personal growth, it's just like being clear. And in this sense, also like, yeah, setting a boundary, like asking for the time and like knowing that not having the right response right now doesn't mean I can't have a response later. So I do like that. And I think that's important of shifting the body, the breathing, but I liked that like actually like shift my body, just like break up that reaction. So thank you.
That shifting of the body, it can come in different forms as well. Even if you need to take a break during a call and stand up and move, but keep your eyes on the camera. But there's all sorts of ways to kind of internally switch. And if you can take a breath or maybe even two and give yourself 6 seconds, that's what the normal time is. 6 seconds to pause, observe, and respond. And maybe the response is, I need a moment to think about that, and I'll get back to you by the end of the day. How does that sound? And you ask, and you let the people know that you will give them an answer at a certain time. That's, of course, key because everybody wants to know when you're going to get back to them. Ramona, is that a question from you?
Yes. I asked that question because when I look at our Catalyst applications, when they apply to be part of the Empower Leader program, confidence is or low confidence seems to be the core issue that a lot of women struggle with, and I know for myself that that is definitely true. Um, so knowing that that's such a core, I guess, need of the women coming through the program and they're working with their coaches on that. I just wonder if you had any tips around, you know, the self-confidence, sometimes grounded in imposter syndrome, feeling, like I don't belong, or just noticing those feelings as you do your self-awareness, your self-check-in throughout the day.
Yes.
Any tips you have on that?
Wonderful. Go back to remember when I said talk to yourself out loud? You may think it's silly. I'm a big proponent of mindset preparation for anything. So, whether it's a difficult conversation at work, whether it's maybe dealing with your landlord, maybe it's a friend that doesn't believe the same way you do, and you want to have a conversation and you're not feeling quite confident about it, the mindset prep on what you do beforehand is key. So, in talking to yourself, if you're feeling that low confidence, it's a matter of pulling yourself back. And I use this all the time to three questions. What brings me joy? And I answer that, and it will change every day. Every day is different, right? We're different every day. We're feeling different every day. We're using that EQ every day. What brings me joy? When have I had influence over people or with people? When have I had influence? Wow, well, when I was a teacher, when I was a coach, whatever it is for you. When have I had influence? And then the last one is, what do I want my legacy to be? What do I want people to say about me? Maybe even when I'm off the call. What do I what do I truly want to leave behind in people's minds that's a gift? Asking yourself and then again answering, whether it's on paper or out loud. You can do this driving to an interview. You can do this in the shower before a big conversation with a loved one. What brings me joy? When have I had influence with or over people? And then what do I want my legacy to be? Well, that I'm a good conversationalist, that I can handle most situations. I mean, you can go down and it will be different all the time, but that's a mindset prep before. And it also is, it's confidence building because you've flipped the switch to be in a positive state of mind once you answer those questions. There's no negatives because you know what brings you joy. You know you've had influence and you can have it again and inspire people. And you know what you want your legacy to be, so that's guiding you forward. And so that low confidence, I think, boy, back to that picture, the palate cleanser, it's swirling around, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. It's of course going to be there, but it's how you manage it. It's going back to one of those quadrants. What do I do with that feeling? How do I manage it? What are my best strategies?
Those are great reframes. Thank you so much, Janet.
I'm loving what I've seen in the chat here. What do I truly want to leave behind people's minds as a gift? Again, that word gift, language choice is so important as we as leaders go forward and as coaches, but language choice needs to be resonant. For me, the word gift just showers that positive emotion of what gifts do I get to share with you all today? What gifts do I bring to the table? Oh, maybe it's my knowledge, my experience, my passion about EQ, my passion about women's impact. So answering that question is really important, and it changes my frame. I love this. Saying things out loud is important to do. It has a way of making it real. Ah, that can be scary. It makes it real, but it also, you're hearing yourself say it. So it goes out and then it comes back in. And I always feel like it lands right here in my heart. So it must be meaningful. It must be something that I care about. Any other questions that I hope I can answer? And if not, I'm going to move on. You can connect with me afterwards and bring your questions and your suggestions, your ideas. I love to keep our conversation going. Uh, I worked with a client about, what about, at the start of the year in January. And she came to me with really poor peer evaluations. And we looked at the different elements of EQ, and she wanted to put her focus on quadrant 4, on relationships, and how she managed those, and what good reflection questions I asked her. So she decided to commit to putting 4 months of practice into quadrant 4. And at the end of that time, we checked in again, and she said, Janet, do you know what happened? I was like, well, no, no. Do you know what I heard? And I said, no. Can you tell me? And she said, yeah, at the end of a really busy day, I had a colleague drop by and say, you were present for me. That changed a lot of things for her, but especially in that element of building the trusting relationship in quadrant 4. Imagine that at the end of your busy week, somebody just dropping by and saying, wow, thank you. You were present for me. And it really paid off in spades that she put that concerted effort, the focus, the intentionality in quadrant 4 of Goldman's EQ so that she could make a difference in her relationships. She could manage them differently. And you have to look at the fit, you have to look at the clarity, the collaboration, how you're showing up matters. And it all lands in that bucket of EQ, right? It lands there, swims around for a while, figures it out whether I need more awareness, I need more management, I need more regulation of that. And there is lasting impact. So I hope you go forward with a few insights today. And maybe you could put, if you have one or maybe two, you could put one in the chat and we can share out what you plan to focus on from our super condensed talk today that you can take forward with you, you can share, you can practice. So if you have one, put that in the chat. Yeah, the quadrants are key. I'm a visual person, so I carry that quadrant in my mind and can refer back to it because it's a straightforward view and it's not too overly complicated to not be able to picture it. So that's why I think the importance of drawing it out, putting the elements in there that you want to focus on. Yeah, I love that accurate and honest self-assessment. That's key. Yeah, the mindset questions are great. Oh, I love this. I've focused on my relationship with self. That's a big into the diving board. Do I jump off? That's like me sweeping the emotions under the rug. It's like, ooh, do I really want to go there and be self-aware and give that accurate assessment? Yeah. What do you want to leave behind as a gift? That's that mindset preparation for the low confidence.
No, thank you so much, everyone, for these insights that you're sharing. It's so nice to see what everyone is walking away with. Um, Thank you, Janet. This has been fabulous. I've learned so much. Thank you, everyone, for your questions, for your insights. And you have Janet's information here to connect with her on LinkedIn or send her an email. Thank you so much, Janet, for being here.
Oh, you're welcome.
Truly fantastic. And we hope to have you back. And everyone, again, thank you so much for being here. Bring your questions to continue the conversation. You can connect with us on LinkedIn. And also, just one more time, I wanted to share our website with you. As I mentioned, Janet is one of our many coaches who are volunteering to support our catalysts for our Empower Leader program that I mentioned at the beginning of this conversation. Applications are now open and they close about 3 weeks from now. So if you or anyone you know is interested in building their confidence, their leadership presence, their leadership capabilities, skills, so they can make a bigger contribution, a bigger impact in the world. This program is truly unique and really impactful. Just wanted to share that with you. Please share with anyone else who in your community might be interested in learning more about or applying. You can stay connected with us and with Janet on LinkedIn. You can find us at Women's Impact Alliance. And any questions about Janet's work, about leadership development that we provide here at WIA, questions about applications or how to be a partner or a donor or volunteer with us, you can reach out to us at through our website or at hello at thewa.org. And with that, thank you so much for being here. We wish you an amazing rest of your day. And please stay in touch. Thank you so much for being here.